Welcome into a For What It's Worth breakdown episode. I'm your host, Calvin Silvers. Just me in this one, but we are going to break down the Monday night football game between the New York Jets and the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners, they get a huge dub early on in the season. They win that one 32-19 to improve to 1-0. And before I even begin to dissect this game, major kudos to the 49ers in getting a dominating win without Christian McCaffrey. He was not able to go in this one. And what's even more impressive is, you get a dominating win without him, without your star running back, but you got the win with a dominating ground game. And so, no Christian McCaffrey, no problem. You still have a dominating ground game. George Mason really carried the load and did it well. And so we'll get to him in a little bit. But executed the run game, got the W there, even without McCaffrey. And secondly, Jet fans, take that deep breath. Let it all out. He avoids a disaster like we saw last year on Monday Night Football. Just together now. Breathe in. Breathe out. We see him for another week and hopefully for more weeks to continue. But before I jump into Rodgers' performance, the entire New York Jets organization, they were just dominated in this contest. Offense, defense, special teams, and almost completely embarrassed. They were lucky that the 49ers weren't just putting points on points on points. And by that, I mean touchdowns. They were doing that in terms of field goals. But when it came to touchdowns, Brock Purdy didn't quite get as many drives completed that way as I would have liked, and I'll talk about that here in a little bit. The most important aspect was time of possession, where the Jets had it for only 21 minutes and 20 seconds, and the 49ers had it for an impressive, get this, ready for it? 38 minutes and 40 seconds. Absolutely crazy. And this is important to mention because it took away the amount of opportunities and chances that Aaron Rodgers had to not only find a rhythm, but just get in a groove and just get his offense rolling. He was hardly ever on the field. I mean, sure, both teams had 10 drives, but for the longest time, Aaron Rodgers would just be on the sidelines. And, of course, some of those drives were in garbage time when they brought in Tyrod Taylor. So looking at the 49ers and their time of possession, they had an 11-play, 75-yard drive. That ate up 7 minutes. They had another 11-play, 70-yard drive. That ate up over just 7 minutes. They also had a 12-play drive in the contest that included 75 yards, and that took over just 5 minutes. And they had another 12-play drive, 67 yards, 6 minutes off the clock. And then they had a couple 9-play drives in there. I only got the double-digit ones. Those are the ones I pulled from the game. Just impressive. They just wouldn't. The Jets defense couldn't get off the field. They got tired. Purdy was able to dissect them here and there. He had a couple misreads. For the most part, just really took advantage of them. Once, like I mentioned, eliminated chances and opportunities for Rodgers. And the 49ers had 21 more plays ran, 135 more total yards. Just absolute domination. All right, let's go back to that running game of the 49ers because no Christian McCaffrey like we were talking about earlier, but still, that's what got the win. 49ers run game is what won them the game. George Mason, you get game MVP. Closed out the night, 28 carries, 147 yards, and a touchdown. Just downhill, tough runner. Puts his head down. Doesn't come down easy. You tell him to go that way, he's going that way. Second drive of the second quarter, I believe, he had a 17-yard touchdown called back due to penalty. He had another run, a long run called back some point in the second quarter. Every time he got tackled, I swear he got up, but he had to look around like, are we sure? Sure that there's no flags. He eventually did overcome those penalties, though, got Debo down, or got the 49ers down to the 2-yard line, allowed Debo to get it in there. So congrats to George Mason. What a performance week one, and really filled the running back gap for that game very well. And the glamored return of Aaron Rodgers. It got off to a terrible start, and that's because of Fred Warner and this 49ers defense. This is a nasty defense. Nasty. Fred Warner, he was not going to allow the Jets to establish and Breece Hall to establish any sort of run game. I get that he got a touchdown, but that was a couple yards out. But for the most part, he did not have anything going for him in that game. Fred Warner had that punch out too against Hall that resulted in a turnover on the Jets' 33-yard line earlier in the contest. So, again, we got to watch out for that 49ers defense. I'm not saying that that's so, under the radar defense. We knew this coming in that they were going to be good. It's just nice to see it in action. One good sight for Jets fans, if we do have to pick a positive, was that Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson have some form of connection, and it's the chemistry, and it's continued to build. And he really wanted to go to him and relied on him in clutch moments. Third drive of the contest, 3 times that he went to Wilson on third down. 2 of them down the middle, or Wilson waiting in the gap in the zone, and one was on the sideline. But when it came, crunch time, Rodgers knew he wanted to go to Wilson. Now, of course, that cost him some trouble. He was trying to force it here and there because he knew Wilson was his playmaker, and that resulted in the tip interception, and that really hurt because they went down 23-7. And he was trying to use Wilson as a spark plug, got intercepted, picked off. Targets did drop off between the two in the second half, but he was really trying to go to him early, establish something. So you want to see your star quarterback and your star receiver get some form of connection going, but a lack of targets elsewhere, in my opinion, to other receivers, that could be scary if teams really lock on Wilson and Rodgers doesn't want to go anywhere else. As for Purdy, he played above average, and that's all you need him to do. He didn't play terrible at all, by any means. This was classic Purdy. He was allowed to play classic Purdy and have classic Purdy drives. Now, what I mean by that is he was allowed to be a game manager, and that's it. They didn't need him to be anything else but a game manager. He was not asked to make amazing plays. Not saying he couldn't, but he wasn't asked to do it. He didn't need to do it. He just needed to make the right reads. And he has a very good IQ, very good receivers, very good tight ends, a very good fullback that's going to get open for him. He just has to make the read. He just has to have the time from his linemen. And that's what happened. He got to play classic Purdy ball, got to have classic Purdy drives. It was fun. It was fun for him. Hand the ball off once or twice, hit the, find the gap in the zone defense, do another run play. That opens up, go deep, go back to handing it off, and wait for a check down. Classic Purdy drive. Simple as that. Rinse and repeat. So above average, probably a B plus, maybe even A minus from me. From Purdy, he outplayed Aaron Rodgers. Brock Purdy did outplay Aaron Rodgers in this contest. Like I said, I'd love to have seen Purdy finish some of those drives, but he didn't need to. They just wanted to take time off the clock. They wanted to keep the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands, and they succeeded. Now, later down the line, against some different teams, if that's not working, obviously you need Purdy to cap off those drives with touchdowns. But once again, no Christian McCaffrey. But at the end of the day, Brock Purdy did outplay Aaron Rodgers. So I was also surprised saying that, Brock Purdy outplayed Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers had a lack of getting other targets involved besides Wilson. I was surprised that being down 16 with 9 minutes left, as the New York Jets organization, as the New York Jets franchise, why didn't you rely on Rodgers to start throwing the ball? You were handing it off. You were taking your time. Let him start slinging it. Start going deep. Try some different routes. Get something going. This guy does not have much time left in his career. You paid the money. Use him. See what he can do still. You have to trust. You're not out of the game. It's a 2-possession game. Score a touchdown, get a 2. Play defense. Get a stop, get a touchdown, get a 2. Tie game. Very surprised that the Jets weren't trying more with Rodgers. All right, that was a very quick breakdown episode. Just really kind of wanted to talk about what I saw. Disappointed from Rodgers' first game back, but we do have to cut some slack. I don't think anyone needs to overreact. I don't think Jet fans need to start freaking out saying that the Aaron Rodgers project failed by any means. It's the first game of the season against a really good defense. I just wish we could have saw more. Just very underwhelming. Brock Purdy does Brock Purdy things, gets the win. He's starting to prove himself in this league. But like I said, very quick breakdown episode here on For What It's Worth. Follow all our socials. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, YouTube. We're on it all. Just go ahead, type in For What It's Worth podcast, hit the follow, hit subscribe, leave comments, send links to your friends. Do it all. Me and the team, who is not here tonight, but me and the team appreciate all that you guys do and listening and sharing our content. But until then, I'm Calvin Silvers. Have a good one.